All right, with just about 3 months until its release, the first official information is starting to come out about Madden NFL 16. And just in the last couple of days, some things that have been rumored for a long time have started to become confirmed. So we'll start with you, Brian Weedeye. Your initial reactions to some of the news that has come out about the upcoming Madden NFL 16.
Yeah, so we have kind of a brief features list or a glimpse at some of the main features for Madden 16, and my first reaction after reading through it was that there wasn't a whole lot of substance to it. There were the references to and the specifics behind the wide receiver and defensive back or wide receiver, pass catcher and defender interactions, which is critical. That's huge. That's been a major weakness for the series and really across its lifespan. But then outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot more. There was talk of total control passing, which has been in the game already. There was talk of connected franchise and ultimate team, but not really anything new about them. So it was really kind of a mixed reaction to it because it's so important to get these wide receiver and defender interactions in and correct. But besides that, there wasn't much to really inspire any excitement about the game.
Well, I mean, the fact is that E3 is coming, and typically that's when you start to really get a sense of what the theme of Madden is all about every year. I mean, with E3 in the middle of June and then Madden coming out at the end of August, it really is the prime launching point. And, of course, Ultimate Team being such an important facet of not just Madden, but every sports game these days, but in particular with Madden, Ultimate Team is a huge piece of it. So, TJ, are you surprised at all that Ultimate Team seems to be such a focus, continued in particular with the various types of pre-orders that you can have for the new Madden coming out?
Of course not, Rich. Everybody wants their Ultimate Team fix. This year, you have the standard Madden that comes out is the regular $59.99, and then the $69.99 version is going to be the deluxe edition, where you get 12 Pro Packs? No, 36 Pro Packs, 12 weeks of 3 packs each. That's a pretty good deal. That's comparable to the Ultimate Edition that they put out for other games and Madden last year. And now I think it's digital only is the $99 Super Deluxe Edition, which has 36 premium packs broken out over 12 weeks, 3 packs a week. Those are going to have premium packs, which last time I remember seeing they were all gold or better players in the packs, which if you're starting to play Ultimate Team, that's a really big help to be doing that thing. So that's the way I'm going to go, all digital, spend $100, because you know what, I was going to spend $40 that first week anyway, so what's the point?
It's an interesting approach, Brian, because it basically says if you're an Ultimate Team player, this is the version that you're going to need to get. It really almost takes it out of the equation versus if you're me and you're not an Ultimate Team guy, there's no reason for any of these other editions. It's a very interesting approach as the Madden team continues to navigate the Ultimate Team versus the non-Ultimate Team divergence of the game.
Yeah, and for $40 more, that sounds like a lot of money, $100 for Madden, but they're going after the people who spend not just hundreds, but like thousands of dollars in Ultimate Team every year. So that savings that they're getting from that, it actually makes total sense for them to buy this expensive version of the game. Now, to you and I, yeah, that seems nuts. But to the people who spend money in there, that absolutely makes perfect sense for them to buy those. And then they try to attract new people to Ultimate Team with the just standard pre-order bonus on the $60 standard game by giving them, hey, here's $15 worth of Ultimate Team content. You should really go use it. It's free. And then they get people hooked in that way. So it's just it makes a lot of financial. That's where the approach they're taking is going after the different types of people and pulling in money that way and then getting new people involved.
I definitely don't think it's nuts. I mean, if I were TJ Lyerman or people like him, I wouldn't. I mean, to me, $100 to get all of that content makes complete sense, right? Because if that's the mode that you play, it's almost crazy not to do it. And again, I'm not saying anyone should or shouldn't get it. But I mean, TJ, you said it yourself. I mean, if you're a Madden Ultimate Team player, you're going to spend some money right away. So why not drop the $100 at the start and get a whole bunch of those premium gold super duper packs or whatever it is that they're called, right?
Yeah, and even if you're not super hardcore, but you are going to play a little bit of Ultimate Team, just getting that version is going to be giving you a lot of gold players for your team, which if you go the no money spent route, it would take you a long time to build up that much coin to get those packs in the game if you didn't actually spend money. Or even if you did buy those packs in the game afterwards, it would probably still end up costing more than that $40. Probably a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, though. I've dabbled in Ultimate Team, and there's no way that I will buy that because I just know, for me, with what I do and how I play sports games, not going to happen. And yeah, it's kind of nice, actually, because now you know, right? If you're an Ultimate Team person, you're going to buy this special edition. You're going to get a whole lot for it. And if you're not, you don't even have to worry about it. You just get the regular version. You're good to go. So the other sort of big news, and I mentioned earlier, this was has been rumored for a while, was tipped off by the cover athletes being receivers and cornerbacks. And it was confirmed recently that the first big news is about interactions between wide receivers and cornerbacks and defenders and pass catchers. And Brian, you mentioned this is something that many people have felt has been necessary for years. I'm curious about the specifics about how they describe this, because it's not just, I think, more interaction. It's actually they're calling this battle for air supremacy, where the receiver defender controls, and I quote, that you're going to be able to dictate the outcome of each passing play while the ball is in the air for the first time ever. A lot of for the first time ever quotes. For receivers, you can go for the highlight reel with an aggressive catch, or go for the possession catch. And on defense, you can disrupt the outcome of each play using a new play ball or hit receiver mechanics. So, I obviously none of us have seen any of this in action. I'm curious, though, how you think, Brian, this is going to play out, because there's not a whole lot of time between when you throw the ball and when the ball gets there. And now it sounds like in that second or second and a half, now you're going to have more options. How do you think this is actually going to play?
Well, I think in a lot of cases it's going to depend on the pass that you're making. So if you're throwing a deep bomb to Calvin Johnson, you're going to go with that aggressive catch, especially, or you're throwing a fade into the end zone or something like that. That makes sense. If you're throwing a slant, you're just going to want a normal catch or conservative catch. So I think it's just going to make sense situationally. But, I mean, over the years, you've always had people who could exploit. There were rocket catching, they'd throw the ball, they'd get their guy to stand there, and then they'd just jump straight in the air, right? So I think you're surprised once you get the hang of things how much you process in those fractions of a second in a game like this once you get comfortable with everything. So I think at first it's going to be interesting to see how people use that, and I think over time, again, a lot of it depends on what the controls are, the risk reward to each of these things, because that's the critical element to all of this, is there has to be some risk reward. If you're going for aggressive catches, maybe it's a lower percent. If you're going to always play the ball on defense, maybe you get burned as opposed to going for squaring up for a hit. So yeah, like you said, it really just depends on seeing it in action within the context of everything else going on the field.
TJ Lauerman, is this a feature that you've been looking for, like so many other people have been talking about?
Yeah, because especially last year, I thought like the SWAT was broken, so I could never actually pull that off. So Brian got a couple of lucky passes over my head a couple times. That won't happen again now, thanks to this awesome new feature. But yeah, anything they do to make this interaction better is going to be good, because last year it was pretty broken. And the only time I ever got called for pass interference last year was when I would just hit stick a wide receiver out of nowhere because I was just feeling like being a jerk. But yeah, I'm going to be very aggressive, get my interceptions, pick sixes. Ryan Mallett's going to go down all the time. It's going to be great.
Interceptions, all that happens in Madden is interceptions all the time. I mean,
but dropped interceptions. dropped interceptions are just as bad, if not worse. I mean,
Agreed.
it's because that it's because the ball is always hitting someone in the hands, right? Rarely is the ball off target and just for an incomplete pass. Either the wide receiver is going to get his hands on it or the defender is going to get his hands on it. And so that's why they put in those animations where it looks like it just hits the guy square in his hands instead of the ball being off target to an extent that they can't make that play on the ball, but they can just deflect it or something.
You know, this is where I think we'll probably have debates from now until the end of time, though, between what's fun in a video game and what is not fun in a video game. I'll tell you what's not fun. Is when you go back to pass and you throw the ball and it sails 4 feet over your wide receiver. That's not fun. That may be realistic, but it's not fun, especially if you didn't do anything to make that happen. You know what's even more not fun is when you get a penalty called against you. Penalties are not fun in video games, especially if you had nothing to do with it. So this clamoring that we have from some folks about wanting more penalties in Madden, are you kidding me? I think it's a terrible
Rich.
idea. Nobody likes penalties.
Rich.
Nobody, Brian Weedeye.
No, yes they do, and I'll tell you why. Because it prevents exploits being used against you if executed properly. So, should you be getting just random pass interferences called on you? No, but if you're playing bump and run every down, you should be it should be more likely that you're going to get called for defensive holding. If you're aggressively going for hits as the ball gets onto a receiver and you get there early, pass interference. It should not just be a random thing, right? And it's same on offense when we talk about things like offensive holding, which never gets called. Well, if you're a quarterback and you're scrambling, Rich, but it depends. If you're a quarterback and you're scrambling around and messing with their angles and holding onto the ball longer, yeah, you should be more likely to get those things called on you. Now, they shouldn't be random, though. Like we said, the idea of a snap ball that's fumbled, right, seems random. That I don't like that, or a bad hold on a kick or something. I can understand not having those things, but depending on how you're playing the game, plus the ratings of your players, that should dictate how often penalties are called. Because otherwise, I mean, look, in Madden the past few years, all people do online is play bump and run coverage, even if their bump and run isn't good. If they're outrated by the wide receiver, they still bump them, and they're not punished for it. And then it just becomes, well, we should make that less effective as a whole, or you could put in penalties to make people think twice about bumping and running on every down.
TJ Lauerman, penalties, fun or not fun?
Penalties are so much fun, Rich.
Oh my
Anytime we can just throw a flag out there, walk back to the line and start all over again. But yeah, you have to find a happy medium in making it not seem completely random. Like last year with the errant passes, I felt like I would throw 15 passes in a row, perfect dots. But then that one pass that I need just magically flew over my guy's head for no apparent reason. And it's the same thing with last year also with all the dropped interceptions. We said, oh my God, there's 30 dropped interceptions in this game. It's like, yeah, you need to have 30 dropped interceptions, or you would have had 30 interceptions in the game, and then you would have been complaining like there's too many interceptions. So the whole thing is just about trying to find that happy medium.
Well, a happy medium is not with penalties. Penalties are terrible in every sport. They are particularly terrible in football. And show me one person who loves when that flag gets thrown. And put that in.
If it benefits you, yes. If it benefits you, because it's not just going to hurt you, right? So if you're driving down against someone and you get a pass interference call, these things happen in real life, right? They extend drives. Right now we have there's so much efficiency in Madden. It's almost people scoring every drive, or it's like back and forth, and you hardly ever see any punts. People go for it on fourth down all the time. It's because the risk reward isn't there, and penalties, that's absolutely plays a role in that.
TJ Lauerman, anything else that you saw in the limited reveal of information that has come out about Madden NFL 16 that you say, oh, I'm glad about that, or that's interesting? Anything else stand out to you?
Nothing really. But when I was looking at the little video, I was like, this looks really, really good. Of course, it was a little video about this big, and I probably couldn't see it that great. But I thought it looked really good. But of course, before the game comes out, games look spectacular, Rich. So I expect no less from this.
Well, I mean, let's face it, right? It's an annual development cycle. I do not envy anyone who has to build out these games every single year on a yearly basis. There's only so much that you can do. Some of these things take 2, 3, 4 years, to build on. I'm very interested to see at E3 how much more comes out. Will this be an incremental improvement? I mean, it obviously will be. Will there be something big and bold, or will this continue to be an evolution? Brian Weedy, did anything else stand out to you in the limited reveal that we got so far today as a lead up to E3 about Madden NFL 16?
Yeah, and it's got the good and the bad to it, and it's just that connected franchise is still present, right?
That's great.
Right? There's always
that's not good. That's great.
Yeah, we still have an online franchise. I mean, hallelujah to that, because Madden's the only one that offers that now. But at the same time, I look at the description and it talks about game prep, which everybody hated, and it talks about revamped draft and revamped scouting, which they claim every year, and it's never very good. So
the draft I like the draft. Scouting, well, I could take the lead, but the draft is good.
That's probably the main issue with the draft, is that you can't really scout for it. I'm always just guessing and drafting randomly most of the time. So,
in other words, just like everybody else in the real NFL.
Yeah, but we also have less information than those people in real life do. I mean, you can't even find out the guy's 40 time without spending half of your scouting points on one player. And this is all publicly available information in real life. So, yeah, I'm happy that Connected Franchise, they didn't do something to completely change it, wherein they'd be like, we couldn't do an online franchise this year or something like that. So we're getting it back, but I'm not sure it sounds like it's really going to be improved upon. Because for me, presentation in that mode of everything is probably the weakest aspect. And owner mode was flat out broken last year, and they don't even mention it in this. So, I mean, we're going to get a ton of details later on, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it. But just based off what we're seeing right now, that's how I feel about it.
Well, I think I'm almost positive there will be much more information that will come out about a lot of this. I would be very surprised if each of the main aspects of the game does not have improvements or modifications made to it based directly on community feedback. That's how these games have been developed the last couple of years. I mean, clearly, the one thing that we really know so far, the wide receiver cornerback interaction, that comes from the community criticism directly. So I'm fully anticipating there to be, in all aspects, from Ultimate Team to Connected Franchise to on the field, I'm fully expecting to see a lot of things come out that you can point directly to the community feedback for those improvements. Because again, with an annual sports release and incremental development time like they have, you can only do so much. So I'm expecting some interesting things to come out of E3. I'm not expecting any megatons. It's Madden. It's going to be NFL football the way that we know it, and that's what a lot of people love. Some people don't, but it's Madden, and it's coming out at the end of August, and we're going to find out a whole lot more about it in the near future. All right, Brian Weedy, thank you, sir. TJ Lammer, thank you, sir. And looking forward to finding out much more about Madden and all the other sports games coming out this fall in just a few weeks at E3.